7 World Trade Center, otherwise known as Building 7, was an office building constructed as part of the original World Trade Center complex located in New York City, and was the only World Trade Center building located outside of the original complex. As the North Tower collapsed, heavy debris hit 7 World Trade Center, damaging the south face of the building, and started fires that continued to burn throughout the afternoon. The collapse of the North Tower also caused damage to the southwest corner of the building between floors 7 and 17, and on the south face between floor 44 and the roof. Other possible structural damage included a large vertical gash near the center of the south face between floors 24 and 41. The building was equipped with a sprinkler system, but had many single-point variabilities for failure. The sprinkler system required manual initiation on the electrical fire pumps rather than being a fully automatic system. The floor-level controls had a single connection to the sprinkler water riser, and the sprinkler system required some power from the fire pump to deliver water. Additionally, water pressure was low, with little to no water to feed sprinklers. After the North Tower collapsed, some firefighters entered 7 World Trade Center to search the building. They attempted to extinguish small pockets of fire, but low water pressure hindered their efforts. Over the course of the day, the fires burned out of control on several floors of Building 7. The flames visible on the east side of the building. During the afternoon, fires were also seen billowing throughout multiple floors of the building. At approximately 2 o'clock in the afternoon, firefighters noticed a bulge in the southwest corner of Building 7 between the 10th and 13th floors, a sign that the building was unstable and might collapse. During the afternoon, firefighters also heard cracking sounds coming from the building. At around 3:30, FDNY Chief of Operations decided to halt rescue operations, surface removal, and searches along the surface of the debris near 7 World Trade Center and evacuate the area due to concerns. The fire continued to expand throughout the building deep into the afternoon, causing some of the inner building to collapse. This led to the northeast corner core column, which was especially large, to buckle below the 13th floor. This caused the floors above it to collapse to the transfer floor at the 5th level. The structure also developed cracks in the facade just before the entire building started to fall. The collapse started at 5:20 Eastern Standard Time, when the east mechanical penthouse started crumbling. And obviously there are a lot of questions about Building 7 that I'm going to get to and kind of go over the different diagrams. How does a building of this magnitude collapse just based off of internal fires? We've never seen that before. Building 7 would be categorized as what is called a progressive collapse, which is defined as the spread of local damage from a single initiating event from structural element to element, eventually resulting in the collapse of an entire structure or a disproportionately large part of it. The failure of 7 World Trade Center was an example of a fire-induced progressive collapse. Building 7 is the first known instance of a tall building brought down primarily by uncontrolled fires. The fires in World Trade Center 7 were similar to those that have occurred in several tall buildings where the automatic sprinklers did not function or were not present. These other buildings, including Philadelphia's One Marion Plaza, a 38-story skyscraper that burned for 18 hours in 1991, did not collapse due to differences in design of the structural system. So this person is claiming that the structure of Building 7 is what caused it to collapse just by internal fires. Those fires were caused by debris that hit Building 7 from the North Tower and the North Tower's collapse. Now, in terms of all of the theories out there, certainly there are a lot. Building 7 in general, I would say, just if you talk to a random person, it's a complete afterthought. So my question when it comes to the idea, and you can look at the way the building falls, yes, it does look like a controlled demolition for sure, and there's actually an interesting simulation where they collapse, like a simulator rendering version of Building 7, and every single way I saw them collapse the building in the simulator. It's not how the building actually collapsed. It does look like if you watch a controlled demolition, whether it's of like an MLB dome stadium or just a regular building, it looks completely controlled. That's not to say it was controlled. My argument is when you try and say, oh, it was a controlled demolition, let's really dive deep. Let's use critical thinking skills and let's think to ourselves, what is the point? Like Building 7 is such a small afterthought collateral. If you're trying to collapse it on purpose, it just doesn't make any sense. Because the idea would be, oh, they collapsed the Twin Towers and Building 7 both on purpose. What's the purpose of collapsing Building 7? It doesn't make any sense. It's a complete afterthought. Nobody cares about it. Nobody remembers it. Why would you risk exposure to it being found out that, no, it was collapsed on purpose? You know, it just doesn't make any sense to me, the idea that, oh, we have to collapse Building 7, when in reality, if you really wanted whatever was in Building 7 gone, you could have very easily done that a much safer, calmer way and been completely discreet about it. The other thing that you do have to take into account, you did have both the BBC and CNN, both of them say at around 4:30, about an hour before Building 7 collapsed, that the building had already fallen. It's one of the craziest things I've seen in relation to this event, because you have reporters perched up, you know, significantly far away from the World Trade Center complex, but multiple different reporters with Building 7 behind them saying that Building 7 fell. Now, there are a few different theories that you can surmise when you see something like that. Number one, it could be, well, there already was the narrative that they had evacuated everyone from Building 7. The firefighters had said it was unsafe, it might collapse, and maybe the media, they took it as, oh, it already fell. There was a lot of commotion at that time. It was just 6 or 7 hours after both the Twin Towers had collapsed, and it was absolutely mayhem. Or you could say, well, they knew about it. I guess my question is, why would the media be let in on, you know, them possibly collapsing Building 7 on purpose? What point does that serve? Why would they tell the media that they were doing that? It can only be a negative for them, because it can only expose them to the idea that it might be done on purpose. Again, you have to critically think about this. I don't understand why they would tell the media that Building 7 was collapsing. I'm guessing it was just a situation. And again, listen, Building 7 is a unique thing for sure. It's very strange the way it fell. It did fall very evenly, and being caused by internal fires. And I guess I'll touch on the issue in the way it fell, which makes it very suspect. To have a building of that size fall evenly like that, and almost, if you watch it, it looks like it falls at the base. Again, if you go to all the simulations, you'll see the building sag on one side or another, and the firefighters reported that this building did sag from the fires. Normally, it's not going to evenly burn throughout the entire structure and come down just all at the same exact time. You'll get one area where the building is weakened to the point where it comes down and it forces the rest of the building down, or it could even get to the point where one area comes down and the other side of the building stays up. But that didn't happen with this building. It behaved very peculiarly, but there are definitely a lot of arguments that you can be had. I'm trying to give everyone's point of view here when it comes to this collapse, because it is a very unique situation that is strange. The building's location is also very strange, with it being on the other side of the street, you know, outside of the complex, but still being part of it, being building number 7. So guys, that is going to do it for this video. The collapse of Building 7, a lot of cloudiness around it, but most suspect it was initiated by fires that engulfed the structure, weakened it, and eventually right around dinner time did collapse it. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.